What is up, everybody? We are back for volume 8 of Drunk on Ice.
Volume 8.
Woo. Jay, this is our debut episode on the Belly Up Network. So huge shout out to Belly Up for having us on and being able to put our Drunk on Broad content out to some to a broader audience. We're able to connect with some hockey podcasts and some hockey people around the globe. So hopefully we're able to get our content out to a broader audience. But really thankful for everybody at Belly Up. Our sponsors are scrolling across the bottom. We got Lots of Rain luxury watches. We got Team Clicks with their sports themed glassware. Jay, I'm just let's get right into it. It's a 10-game losing streak. And not only is it a 10-game losing streak for the hometown Flyers, but it's the second 10-game losing streak. And we're barely halfway through the season. What the fuck?
Well, as you can see, I'm not even representing Flyers gear at all.
You know what, Jay?
I honestly, I'm boycotting. I know you just threw your hat.
You know what?
Time to take the jersey off too. Let it happen.
The jersey's coming off.
Feels better, don't it?
I'm down. I'm done. I've got nothing to say about this team. Jay, I honestly wanted to just come on and say the Flyers suck. Can we move on to the rest of the league, please?
Yeah, I mean, it really is sad. It's painful because
it really is.
No, I mean, if you would have told me 3 months ago when we first did our first show, I'll never forget when we came on and, we gave our predictions and, obviously I didn't have the Flyers, finishing high in the division, but it would be an understatement if I didn't use the word shocked at how bad and piss poor this team really is. And,
sure. We are the New York Jets.
And you know what?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
I hear people still, some people on Flyers Twitter still saying, oh, they've had a lot of injuries and this and that and yada, yada, yada. Dude, the bottom line is I could care less about the injuries. The point is this team has no heart. It has zero identity. The Flyers that I grew up watching, this is nothing like that team. The teams that I envied, the teams that I, got excited for every single year. Even though the Flyers never won the Stanley Cup, I knew that every year they were going to be in contention. The Lindros era, the Leclerc era, even after that era, Primo, and then, obviously that 2010 team that overachieved. But even that team, leading up to that was fun to watch. I got to be honest with you, dude. I have not watched a Flyers game in the new year. I haven't watched a game. I've watched bits and pieces here and there,
Right.
but I can't even get my and when that happens to me, that's when I know it's bad because I'm a diehard. I'm a diehard hockey guy.
Listen, I'm a glutton for punishment, right? Like the other night, I'm like scrolling through trying to find the game, and here it's on ESPN Plus. And I literally said out loud, I was texting back and forth with Mike from Fired Up, and I'm like, dude, do you know what channel the game's on? I can't figure it out where to find it. He goes, oh, it's on ESPN Plus. You got to have the subscription, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm not watching it. It's not it's not worth the amount of time and investment that I have to make. Like I can figure out everything I need to figure out by reading it or watching it the next day. Like I don't need to watch 60 minutes of hockey from this team to figure out what's wrong, because what's wrong is really simple. They suck at every level. They show absolutely no effort. They show absolutely no heart. There is nothing, Jay, there are no redeeming qualities for this team. It really is really hard to watch, and you're getting to the point where, I mean, I literally, Jay, I looked at it today and I typed in our notes. Is anyone safe? Like if this is a complete and utter rebuild, which it very well could be, who's safe? Like,
I mean,
is anyone safe? Blow it all, blow it up. What do you have to lose? You are so far away from being competitive. It is mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, the only, I said it before earlier in the year, to me, there's a couple guys on the squad that I would consider untouchable, and that would be Carter Hart. And I'm looking down, up and down the roster here. I would say Carter Hart, Joel Farabee, and Cam Atkinson, and that's it. Those three guys, to me, would be the only guys that I would worry about. Everybody else, to me, is on the board, including Ivan Provorov, who's actually, I've heard this argument made, and I kind of was holding out hope that it wasn't true, but I've heard quite a few people saying that Provorov is now being exposed to the fact that he's not really a good number one. He's a good complementary defensive player, but he's not, necessarily that elite guy that, teams want.
Here's the thing, though, Jay. By the time if you tear it all down and keep those three guys that you just mentioned, by the time you turn it all back around, was it worth keeping those guys?
I don't know.
If you tear it, hypothetically, right? You tear it all down, you sell off as many parts as you possibly can, but you keep Hart, you keep you keep Farabee, and you keep Atkinson. But by the time you turn it all back around, is Carter Hart's value? It is, if he's got to play in front of less talent than he's playing in front of now, is he really going to be productive? I mean, we saw last year when he didn't play in front of really good, talented defensive players, how it affected him in the net and giving up soft goals and, really challenging himself mentally. It's the first time, Jay, that I've looked at it and said, if there's any place to keep anybody, it might be Hart. But like, I also think like, is it worth it? Because by the time you turn it back around, is he in his prime anymore? Is he a guy that is worth keeping, worth holding on to?
Yeah, because to me, he's still very young and raw. I don't think, even if you were to blow it up, obviously teams that blow it up don't change over an entire roster. That would be impossible in the NHL, especially with the salary cap. I don't think. I think if you are building a franchise, you want to look at players to build around. And like I said, to me, Carter Hart is, the goalie in the NHL is very important. But the goalie is, as you said, only as good as the defense in front of him.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I would still like. So when I looked at the moves that Chuck Fletcher made over the offseason, on paper, those moves looked like he hit a home run.
Oh my God!
Bringing in Ristolainen.
Go back to that preview show.
Get rid of
that preview show. We talked about how important it was that you were getting guys that had letters on their sweaters, guys that had leadership qualities, guys that had experience in the league.
Well, that's what I mean. So you look at what was done there going into the coming into the season, and it looked like it was great moves. Right. But now you look at it 40 some games into the season, and it's like, okay, Ryan Ellis is yet to get back on the ice. Ristolainen is like I said, Ristolainen, I loved the fact that they brought him in here. Mm-hmm. But now it's like almost like, do you even spend the money and re-sign him when you're going to blow the team up anyway? Or do you kind of maybe try to trade him and maybe get some pieces back? Because to be honest with you, dude, I don't know, man. I'm almost at the point where it's like with the Flyers that it's like I wish that they would just sell all their veteran pieces, every single one of them, and bring in draft picks and young guys and just rebuild from the ground up. Because I don't think there's any other way. They've tried every other way. They've tried to piecemeal it. They've tried to, do the quick fix. And, Chuck Fletcher, for all the positives that he's gotten, I still think I'm still not sold that he's the answer at GM either. I really am.
Listen, Jay, the way that this team is playing on the ice right now, there's nobody that's above reproach, right? And what's up, Chris? Chris is always, always a good, loyal guy checking in. We appreciate you, Chris. Thank you. Nobody's above anything else, right? Like nobody's above being on the clock. Nobody's above having their position challenged. To me, Jay, we're just in this awful, we're and we've been saying it for weeks, right? We are in this awful purgatory where there's you're sucky enough to be on the verge of the end of the playoffs, but you're doing just enough at some point in the schedule to be considering yourself relevant. I think the way that this fan base can show this team that they hate what's going on is by doing what we've seen in the last couple days, Jay, which is not show up. That building has been empty. The other night I had to laugh when they were doing a giveaway and it was the beer mugs, the beer steins. They said, "Oh, beer steins to the first 10,000 people that come in the rink." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You think that there are 10,000 people that are going to show up?" Like, there are people, Jay, that can't give away tickets. That, like, so I think what Flyers fans need to do to show this team that they need to make changes, and I think the changes need to come from way up top, right? The ownership group that took over this team is a suits and not boots on the ground, right? They are the epitome of the corporate ownership of the team, completely distant from the franchise that they own. This franchise would be so much better off if it was sold and someone else could take ownership over the direction of this franchise, because it is like a rudderless ship in the middle of the night.
Pathetic.
It really is. Jay, you got anything else you want to talk about the Flyers before we go around the league? I don't know if I want to talk about these.
Yeah, I really don't, because it's just frustrating. Like, I feel like it's a broken record.
It is.
All it is the same nonsense.
Which is why, Jay, we're going to switch it up a little bit tonight. We're going to talk about some different stuff, right? We're going to talk about right now. We're going to go around the league, talk about some stuff that's going on with some other teams, because the Flyers have sucked so much that I have ventured out into the abyss of, the variety of NHL games that have been on. We're going to talk about the All-Star game, and then we're going to talk about the Olympics coming up. So, around the league, Jay, what do you got for me?
Alex Ovechkin.
Huh.
I wish I say it every week. I wish Alex Ovechkin was a Flyer. I mean, if I could go to every game, like if Alex Ovechkin was a Flyer, I would buy season tickets.
Man, he's a dude that, and listen, he's been a guy that we've talked about multiple times. He's a guy who is just a great guy to watch. He's a guy who just puts it all out there, gives his all every game. You're never going to get less than any kind of lackluster effort from him at all. And, he has, for lack of a better word, like, he has put this team on his back. He's got them within 3 points of the Rangers, right? So they're even though they're in fourth place in the Metropolitan, right? They're only 3 points out from that top spot in the Metropolitan. And trust me when I tell you, Jay, that is a team that no one wants to see in the playoffs.
Absolutely not. Not with. I mean, obviously Ovechkin alone. You look at most of these other teams, it's like they have 3, 4, 5 guys that are like all kind of. It's like balance, and all, you look at it as a whole, it's like a bunch of guys carrying the team. But when it comes to Washington, it's almost like a one-man show. It really has been this year, at least. I mean, not every year past, but in this year, it really is the Alex Ovechkin show. I mean, he's putting up his best career. He's putting up a career year at his oldest age. I mean, it's just mind-boggling what he's doing. But I mean, you talked about it. There's 4 teams in the Metropolitan with over 50 points, and then you look at
the East. Jay, the Atlantic and Metropolitan.
Look at the Atlantic. Division. Well, that's what I was going to say. The Atlantic Division has 3 teams over 50 points, and Boston's right there at 48. So those 8 teams are probably making the playoffs.
And that's and the craziest thing, Jay, is that you're going to have a team this year that's going to have an incredible season and is going to miss the playoffs. And then you're going to have like over in the West, like you've got 4 teams in the Central and the Pacific that are over 50 points right now. Like you're going to have some teams in the East that are going to have incredible seasons and are going to miss out on the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the East is definitely loaded compared to the West. The balance has kind of changed. It used to be the West was a lot more stronger than the East, but now, especially, I mean, like I said, the Metropolitan and Atlantic both have 4 teams each. Because I'm saying Boston has 48. They're probably going to win if they play. I don't know if they played tonight, but their next game they're going to win. They'll have 50 points.
Right.
So you figure 4 teams each have 50 points.
Yeah.
And then you have the rest of the league.
Right, and you look at the Atlantic, right? You got Toronto, Tampa, and Florida, all with all are north of 50 points, and you got Boston sitting there, like you said, at 48. But Washington, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and the Rangers all 50 plus points. Like the team, Jay, that has surprised me the most is Edmonton. Edmonton is sitting at the bottom of the Pacific, just above the Kraken. Right there, the Kraken are what we are what they thought they were. Right, they're a struggling expansion team, struggling to be competitive. But Edmonton is sitting at the bottom of the Pacific right now, and with the way that we've discussed Draisaitl and McDavid, it just surprises me that their scoring production is not translating to wins.
Yeah, but we also mentioned coming into the year that their Achilles heel always seems to be their defense and their goaltending. And if you look at their goaltending this year, it's kind of been a mixed bag. I mean,
yeah, it really has.
Koskinen has over 3 goals against. Skinner has a 2.93, and then Mike Smith's only played 6 games, and he's almost at 4 goals against. So their goaltending's been atrocious, and their defense in front of them hasn't been much better. So,
right.
Although you would like to think that points and goal scoring, will drive your success.
Yeah,
not necessarily, and that's like almost the proven fact right there as to why Connor McDavid gets a lot of flack, because the times that they have made the playoffs, he really hasn't done much in them, and their goaltending is just not upper echelon. You look at a lot of these other teams that have the balanced scoring. I mean, look at Tampa Bay.
Right.
They have the balanced scoring, but they also have Vasilevsky, who's an absolute Vezina Trophy winner every single year. You look at the Rangers; they got Shesternak. I mean, you can go down the line.
Yeah,
the Hurricanes got Frederik Andersen playing out of his mind. Like,
I was going to say, he's playing scoring, incredible.
They also have goaltending. Even the Washington Capitals, goalie has not been. He's not great. But he's actually has better numbers than Carter Hart, which, if you've watched Carter Hart this year, it's kind of been, up and down. But I would say he's had a better year than last year. But
it's been very hit and miss.
But once again, it's that defense in front of him.
I mean, Jay, even a guy like Jack Campbell, right? Jack Campbell has been impressive in net, right? Coming off the COVID season where he kind of took over that number 1 goalie role for the Leafs. Just a guy that's been impressive in net, right? His goals against is right around, it's just over 2. The save percentage is, in the what's it 9.27 at this point. But again, what you're saying, right? That balanced attack of getting production in the other team zone, playing the middle of the ice so that you can protect your goalie, and then having solid goaltending on the back end, right? Nobody is really winning games by just doing one of those things.
No, I mean, I'll give you the exact opposite. Look at a team like Colorado. You were talking about Edmonton in the West. Colorado is not only getting the scoring.
Agreed, Mike.
But they got Darcy Kemper, playing really solid in net. And their defense in front of him. They've only given up 66 goals. You know, St. Louis Blues, another team, getting pretty decent goaltending. You know, but they're putting the pucks in the net.
Right.
I mean, you look at a guy like Tarasenko, who I still wish the Flyers would go after him, but he's up there and scoring for them. I mean,
yeah,
like I said,
I think, to speak to Mike's point, I think, yes, Mike, I think we can all agree that the Flyers suck. But you're right. Edmonton is a mess right now. And Chris brings up a good point. Dallas. Dallas is playing pretty well. They're struggling. I think they're playing well. They're getting a lot of scoring, but they are a team who's indicative of what we're talking about, not having the balanced attack. They're able to they have decent scoring, but it's not translating to wins.
Yeah, but they're more so in the middle. I mean, they're definitely
they're like 7 points out from a playoff spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're not having success, more so than they're just not playing up to the par of these other teams. I mean, even the LA Kings, I mean,
right.
Talk about a team that's a little bit older, but I mean, once again, Jonathan Quick, a guy who everyone said was washed, just like Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick is far from washed. I mean, I watched Jonathan Quick, win a Stanley Cup. The guy's, legit. And that's the thing with goaltenders. Like, goaltenders are streaky. Like, a goaltender could have 2 terrible years and then come back the next year and have an awesome year.
Oh, absolutely.
So it kind of goes like that. And that I've seen it with quite a few of these guys. Like I said, Jonathan Quick. There was quite a few people coming into this year that were doubting Bobrovsky.
Yeah, and listen, they've done nothing but prove those guys wrong.
Get away.
And listen, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, Jay, because we got the fired up guys in the comments talking a little shit. We got a little preview. The two of us are going to be in a Family Feud style trivia situation against the boys from Fired Up on the TSS Fantasy Sports Podcast. And they're going live at about 10 in about an hour. It's about to go down. Mike's in there talking some trash, saying it's going down. Listen, we got some. I'm going to err on the side of experience, a little age versus youth. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, well, I'm the old man of the room, so I think I got a few tricks up my sleeves for these young bucks.
There we go. Jay, Don's asking about fantasy goalies in fantasy hockey.
Who has the best fantasy goalie in our hockey league?
So he's asking about Saros, Vasilevsky, and Quick.
I have Vasilevsky.
I would agree. I think Vasilevsky out of that group, Vasilevsky seems like the guy who.
I have Vasilevsky. I think Mike Giletto. Let's look at who he has. Hold on.
But I mean,
whoa! Wait a sec. I just pulled it up. You're beating me 9-1 this week, by the way. I haven't lost since week 1, by the way.
All right. So Jay, full transparency on our fantasy hockey league.
I haven't even looked at it, right?
I haven't even touched it. I was so engaged in our Golden Mike league that I had set I would set a lineup at the beginning of the week and not touch it. So it is only by pure dumbass luck that I am winning. So don't take any credence to anything that I'm saying. I am not here to provide hockey fantasy advice. What I can tell you is that in what I've seen and what I've watched, right? The guy that's playing really hot right now is, Shesterkin is playing really well for the Rangers. Like you had mentioned, Anderson is playing well for.
Does Dom and Mike have
for the
their own
Hurricanes.
separate league? Is that what that question is? I'm confused because I don't think Dom is in our league.
Is Dom? I don't know.
Maybe they have a separate.
Okay, so wait, here we go. He has all three of those in the league that Mike run. Okay, so it's a league that he and Mike are in separately. Gotcha. He wasn't cool enough to.
Oh, well, that's not fair, Dom. I would have asked you to be in it. I'm sorry, Dom. I didn't mean that.
Here we go. And listen, it's about to go down. Shit's about to get real. Listen, Mike, we're coming for you. We got the ghosts of the vet and all the nonsense that went on in the Spectrum. We got all that life experience to kind of hopefully those are some of the things we're talking about tonight. Otherwise, hey, listen, all I can say is I've been the phone a friend on trivia a couple times. So it is about to get real fun. Looking forward to it. Jay, around the league.
What do you got for me?
The team, Jay, that you're looking forward to going into the All-Star break.
When you say
teams that you see that are going to make that could make a move in the standings at all.
Okay, so you're not talking about teams that are necessarily in the top right now. You're talking about teams that could make a run.
Correct.
After the All-Star break.
After the All-Star break. Like a team who's in the bottom half. So if I gave you in the Atlantic and Metropolitan, right? If I gave you Detroit, Washington, Columbus, and Buffalo. Out of that group, what is the group that is going to move and really elevate themselves into a playoff spot?
Oh, definitely Washington.
Right.
But the other team that I still consider a dark horse to make the playoffs is Detroit.
Okay.
I think Detroit has a lot of young talent, and they've started to kind of come into their own. I like their balance. They don't have necessarily top flight playmakers, but they have more of they have what I wish the Flyers would have. You know what I mean? Like the balance of muckers and grinders, so to speak.
Dom's asking about Vancouver. Dom?
I'm looking at the West.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, bud. My knowledge of Vancouver is not very high. But if I'm looking at what I can find, Dom threw me a curveball here.
Well, they've gotten solid goaltending from Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I don't think Vancouver's necessarily a bad team. I just think they're another team that has a lot of young talent.
Listen, they're playing. Vancouver is a team that's playing kind of 500 hockey, right? They're 8-7 at home, 8-7-1 at home, 10-11-2 on the road. They're giving up 10 more goals than they've scored. If they're gonna be able to throw it together, it's gonna be on the heels of, Jay, what you're saying, a lot of young talent that's gonna be able to move the needle for them. It's gonna be guys that are gonna be kind of on the fringe and getting production out of those guys, more production than they would have thought they were getting.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I really don't know much about Vancouver. I mean, I know Elias Peterson supposedly, super talented. But he's not necessarily, he's not leading their team. Looks like JT Miller is leading their team in scoring.
Yeah, listen, and
is that Dom's dark horse?
It surely sounds like it. Listen, and anytime if there's any sport that goes through coaching changes more than anybody else, it's hockey, right? Hockey, you could have. We've seen teams have slow starts. They fire the coach. See St. Louis Blues. Craig Berube for prime example number one.
Yeah, but we can also see the opposite effect.
Correct.
You see teams that start out super hot, and now you look at them now. And I'm going to give you the perfect example, and that's Calgary. Remember Calgary came out and they were like 9-0 in the beginning of the season?
Yeah, we were talking about them in the top 5 for a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, they're a team that's kind of been on their way backwards. Like, I think they're 3-6-1 in their last 10, and they're a team that, they started off super hot. They're still getting pretty good goaltending, but Markstrom hasn't been as great.
Gotcha.
I remember he was playing out of his mind. But like I said, I think you could see both aspects. Teams that start off horrible, get rid of their coach, and actually get a bump. Then you have the situation like the Flyers where they got rid of their coach, and it did absolutely nothing because it's the team. Not
right. They started off hot, like the Flyers started off hot, made a coaching change, and they still suck. So, Jay, anything else you want to talk about around the league before we kind of transition to some fun? We got a couple of fun topics to talk about.
Well, no, the only other thing that I was looking at was I don't know if you've heard anything about what's his name? Carey Price from Montreal. I know he had been out for mental health issues, and okay. I know that they said that he was supposed to be back after Christmas, but I still haven't really seen any reports on him. I know that they said that he was, kind of out of shape, but he's the guy that I'm pulling for because, obviously we've stressed on the show about mental health, and he's a guy that I'm looking at, once he comes back. Obviously Montreal's not looking good as far as in the standings, but he's a player that I've always been excited to watch. And, if you're asking me, you said who am I looking for to kind of pull ahead? Obviously the team I would be Detroit, but the player that I'm most looking forward to watching in the second half would be Carey Price. And I'm not sure if he would get moved at the trade deadline too, because he's a hot name that could be on the move.
You never know. I mean, that could be an opportunity for them to be able to get, is that the lift that could elevate them? And listen, if we've learned anything by watching hockey over the course of the last, couple decades in our lifetime, you can ride a hot goalie all the way to the cup. And it doesn't have to be a guy who's lighting the world on fire during the year. It just takes for a guy to be able to get in the right track, on the right team, getting the right support, getting scoring in front of them. So Carey Price could be a guy that could jump in and elevate the play on Montreal. And look, like, what was it? Was that last year when they made a cup run? I can't remember. They're all kind of running together. They made a playoff run. I can't remember.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Oh, Jay, let's talk some fun stuff. Let's talk about the All-Star game. What do you like about the format, the weekend? Tell me what you really enjoy about watching the NHL All-Star Game. Because we got it. It's coming up. For those of you that don't know, that it's coming up in Vegas on. It's going to be played on February 5th. It's going to be a 3-on-3 format. You've got a team that's going to represent each of the 4 divisions of the league. What are your thoughts on the All-Star Game?
I got to be honest with you, dude. I'm not really a super fan of any of the All-Star Game. The only All-Star Game that I actually still enjoy to this day is the baseball All-Star Game.
Okay, tell me why.
I just enjoy watching the best of the best, in the sport. Not that doesn't happen in hockey, but I think hockey just continues to keep trying to change the formats. I wish that they could just come up with one format and keep it. I don't like all the changes, just like I don't like I hate the shootout. Like we've talked about that in the show. I don't like the 3-on-3. I wish it would just be normal hockey, like 5-on-5, best of the players. Yeah, I don't like that they just try to always change things up, and I mean that's just my opinion. I mean maybe
they're trying to find something that they think is going to hit, right? And Jay, what you mentioned about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, I feel like the reason why that hits is because that is the All-Star Game that is most like the regular season games, right? The Pro Bowl is a hot mess of a flag football game, and the NBA All-Star Game is a glorified skills competition. Hockey to me is like that happy medium that could be great. Like I would rather them, if they were going to do the format that I would rather them do, the Atlantic, the Metropolitan, like do the 4 divisions, but do 5-on-5. Like play the 20 minutes. Like who gives a shit if you bring in a bunch of extra dudes? Like extend the all-star roster for those players to allow them to be 5-on-5, play regular hockey. The 3-on-3, I think, just lends to it's a scoring fest, right? And it obviously puts the goalies at a disadvantage because it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, score, right? And you've got the 18-15 score. To me, I think the easy way to solve it, Jay, is what you're talking about, which is keep the separation the same.
Make it more realistic. Like I said,
then right. Exactly. Don't turn it into what is the worst part of your game, which is the overtime. Right? It's the most unlike the regular part of the game.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And it, like I said, it's not just hockey, football. I mean, you nailed it. I haven't probably watched a Pro Bowl in probably 20 years.
Jay, you ain't missing anything.
I haven't watched the NBA All-Star Game in a while, probably since Jordan. Like I just don't like All-Star games in general. I just never have. But I always have liked the baseball one because, it is the most realistic. And
the skill
baseball game, All-Star game that I most remember,
right?
I will never forget it. Was the one when Bo Jackson hit the home run over the center field, and it went into the on that that padding. I'll never forget that. That's like ingrained in my mind, and that's the All-Star games that I enjoyed. Like I just don't like the new. Like I do enjoy the home run contest in baseball, and I do enjoy the hockey skills part of it.
Well,
so I do enjoy that.
And that's what I was about to ask you. The thing that I enjoy the most about this event and pretty much all the other events is the skills competition that happens before the game, right? The NBA Saturday night where it's the 3-point contest and the dunk contest and the skills competition. Not that it's incredibly exciting, but it's a much better product than whatever is happening on the night before. And to me, like when you have events, the amount of events that you have in the NHL All-Star game with the hardest shot, the fastest skater, right? You've got the breakaway shootout-ish challenge. You've got the accuracy, the skills relay. Those are fun because what I love about those is that, Jay, they do a great job at putting these players back when they were kids, right? Because when you were a kid, and I'm just going to speak for myself, right? When we were kids and we weren't ice skating, right? But when I'm in the cul-de-sac in front of my parents' house, right? And we got 12 kids from the neighborhood, right? What are we all trying to do? Right? We're all trying to see who's the fastest, who can shoot the fastest, who's the hardest, who can hit the target, right? You're having all those skill competitions. As a kid, to me, I feel like the skills competition does the best job at turning these players back into the kids when they fell in love with the game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Jay, what's your favorite? Okay, so are there any memorable skills night competitions that stick out to you?
That's a good question.
The one that I remember, and while you're thinking of it, I remember one of those events with Chara, right? When they had the hardest shot. And I can't remember who he was going back and forth with one guy. And I can't remember. And the two of them are just hammering pucks as hard as they possibly can. To me, that kind of stuff where you get those guys battling one-on-one, it's like they're kids again, man. And I think that's the part that I love.
I think the one that stands out to me, I believe, was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but it was Steven Stamkos in the most accurate shot contest. I think he set the record, he hit 15 in a row or something. I can't remember what it was, right. But I vividly remember them they were in awe of he just kept hitting the little circle.
Oh, they're like the skeet ball targets.
Yeah,
right?
In the corner of the nets.
Yeah,
the corner of the net. And I think it was Steven Stamkos from the Lightning.
And I think Don might be right. I think it was Chara and Shea Weber.
Okay.
And I think they were just going. The two of them are just throwing haymakers back and forth, and you watch them just skate up, and it's everything that they have. It's that full body. I'm putting my entire body into motion to be able to generate as much energy as I possibly can. And
but don't you think it's crazy that here we are talking about us being more excited about skills competition? Exactly. And the home run derby? I don't understand.
Well, Jay, that's a much bigger conversation. That is.
But if the leagues don't get it, then no. I don't know what they're doing. What are they even doing?
And Jay, I think what that might speak to is the instantaneous feedback generation, where you have things that are long-standing events, and then you have things that are quick hitters, right? So everything with this generation is instantaneous, right? How fast can I do it? What can I get in a really short amount of time? Can we get it done in 10 minutes? I think what these skills competitions do is highlight those talents, and I think they do a really good job at it. And I think what's great is that it gets people excited about the sport. Now, whether or not they seek out the game and watch the game, that's a whole nother conversation. But Jay, would you? So Dom's bringing up. So he's got the NHL skills competition 1, right? The home run derby 2, the dunk contest, 3-point contest, and then the MLB All-Star game. Any disagreements? Anything you want to switch around?
Yeah, I mean, I think the actually I like the list. I think he's right. I think all the skills competitions are better than the games, but I think the Major League Baseball game is the best out of the 4 sports. So I think
absolutely.
I think he nailed it. The more I looked at it, I was going to say that 5 would belong at 1, but now I see what he did, and I agree. The skills competitions in general are better than the games. Baseball is the best of the games.
Absolutely.
So that's a great list.
The thing that
good job, Tom.
Yeah, seriously. The thing that the one event, Jay, that we didn't talk about that is really cool to see,
the goalie
is the fastest skater. On Monday we went ice skating for my daughter's birthday, right? And it's a public skate, so there's a zillion people out there, right? And I'll be honest, I'm okay. I did fall down multiple times, but the most fascinating thing, Jay, is to see the kids that you can tell have been ice skating longer than they've walked, because they are literally zipping in and out of everything to try to get to the other end of the ice. And I'm watching it, and it's fascinating. And it made me think of the fastest skater thing, where I'm looking at it and I'm going, they go in and out and up and down and in and out. And I'm watching this one particular kid, and he's almost playing a game in his head, because you can tell, like, all the lines are all painted on the ice. So he's going in front of the ice and he's pretending to shoot. And it was just so cool to see. But it made me think of, like, the fastest skater competition is just so much fun to watch, because it's just all speed. It's A to B, go around the ice. How fast can you get there? And just to see that skill on display is incredible.
Who's going to win it?
I mean, Jay, if it's any guy that we've discussed on here, right?
Have a flyer ever won the fastest skater?
Yeah, and Dom's stealing my thunder here, but like McDavid is a guy that we've talked about. Game speed is just incredible, right? Off the charts game speed, where he's able to go end to end, in and out, up and down, left and right, no issues at all. He's able to navigate the ice completely uninhibited. I think for me, like, if it's not McDavid, then it's,
I would think it would be a defenseman.
It could be, but I was thinking of, like, McDavid.
Has any Flyers ever won it? Ever?
I don't think so.
I can't remember any Flyers winning any skills competitions.
Not that I can remember. But like it's either, for me, it's either McDavid. It could be like a Johnny Gaudreau. It could be Austin Matthews, like a guy that's just going to be able to go end to end really quickly.
I think it's usually guys that aren't the bigger name guys that win.
It could be. Those guys are just the guys that pop off to me as guys that are
I don't know enough about it
about
to
game
speak on
speed.
it as far as who's going to win. I'm just trying to think of the Flyers in general that I've seen years prior. I think, didn't Ghost make it one year? Didn't he appear in one of the skills competitions?
He might have. Jay, while you're talking, I'm going to look it up.
Skater. Yeah, I can't. Now I'm curious because now that we're talking about it, I'm like, have a Flyer ever won a skills competition? Should just Siri it because I don't remember any.
I'm not seeing. Other than the fact that Giroux, when it was in Nashville, participated in the breakaway challenge, nobody really is jumping off the page as far as if they were able to. It would require a deeper dive into the winners of the NHL skills competitions. But no, I think I'm just excited to that to me, like Don was saying, that's one of the more exciting things to watch. Much more exciting than the game, much more game speed like. So for me, I'm looking at the hardest shot. I love the fastest skater. The skills challenge, just to see what those guys can do standing on skates on ice is just incredible.
I agree with you. I mean, I'll definitely be checking it out.
All right, Jay. We
Next
got Olympic hockey action. The Winter Olympics are coming back in February. So we got a couple of weeks before it pops off, right? We'll probably have one more. We might have one more show before the hockey games actually start. Probably one of the most memorable hockey events happened during the Olympics, right? The USA takes down the Russians in Lake Placid. What do you like about Olympic hockey?
I mean, I think it's just a different level of competition. I mean, obviously the NHL is the best league in as far as highest level of hockey, but when you go to the Olympics, you're talking about a different level of competition because you got Canada, which obviously is where hockey originated. You have a ton of talent that comes from Canada, but then you also have a ton of talent overseas. I mean, the Russians, you just talked about it.
Right.
The Czechs. I mean, a lot of these teams have good, great teams, and I just think it's a different level of competition.
Right.
Like as far as like when I watch NHL day in and day out, the games are dull until you get to the playoffs. I mean, it's always been that way for me. Even though the Flyers haven't been really good lately, but when you watch regular season hockey and you watch playoff hockey, it's two totally different atmospheres. I would say that the Olympics to me remind me more of playoff hockey, where it's like
it's a different
level. On the line.
Right. Yeah,
who's on the line? Like you're talking about players playing for their country.
I think that's the coolest
I don't know how to explain it, but watching it, it's a different product on the ice. Like I just see more fire from every player. Like you can watch a hockey game, I'll give you a Flyers Devils game right now, and it's just lackluster. There's just there's no energy. But you go and you put on Canada versus U.S. You're going to have some intense. I don't know if it's the intensity. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm not using the right words. I don't know what I'm trying
listen, I think you're
I
in the right neighborhood.
Olympic hockey.
Right? There's a different level of responsibility as a player when you're playing for your country. Right? When you're playing for your team, right, it's one level, right? But when you're playing for your country, it's a completely different level of responsibility as a player. So I think, the disappointing thing for me is that you're not going to be able to see. Originally, they had scheduled the NHL players to be able to be available to play for their countries. And with everything that went on with COVID and the league not feeling comfortable sending people overseas and they're not going to, the NHL players are not going to play, which I completely understand. So you are going to see a lot of the younger talented players, guys that are playing in college, guys that are playing in the KHL, playing in the you've got and actually Jay, you've got Pat Nagel who's a goalie for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, right, which is in the farm system for the Flyers. You're seeing guys at a bunch of different levels that are able to maybe, I don't know, set themselves apart. And they're sometimes it's fun to watch guys that you don't know, so you're just rooting for your country. And I think that there's another part, right? You're at a level where you're rooting for your country, not for your team. It's a different level of responsibility.
Yeah, I mean that's what I kind of get out of it. I definitely enjoy watching it, and I will still enjoy watching it even with the NHL players not involved. It's just a different. I don't know, man. I love hockey, and I love intense hockey that means something.
You're right. I think you're right. I think you're right on, like, in the fact that, like,
I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie. If the Flyers were 13 and whatever 27,
right,
but they had an Alex Ovechkin on the team, I would still watch them. But
100%.
That's my point. Like,
because
they don't have anybody
worth your time
that I'm actually excited to watch. I don't get excited to watch any of these guys.
No.
It's sad. I hate to keep harping on it, but I'm so frustrated.
No. All right, Jay. So before we do final thoughts, what's another Winter Olympic event that you like watching other than hockey?
Oh, I love skiing. The downhill.
All right, talk to me about it.
I love to watch the downhill skiing. I've only been skiing twice in my life, and I fell both times. I did horrible.
Jay, those dudes are psychos.
I just love watching those guys go down those steep incline hills. Downhill skiing, and I also love bobsledding. I love to watch the bobsleds. I don't know what it is about it. I just love watching those things like fly around and they show like, the thing turning. And
the best part about that, Jay, is it's the going insanely. I think it's the insanely fast aspect.
You're right.
And the fact that, like, I know it's something that I don't do, I can't do. I just love what those and the one, Jay, that I was going to say was bobsledding. right? Bobsledding to me is one of those events that, like, watching those guys and girls go around the corners and watch them go as fast as they're going.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's definitely the speed that does it. You're right.
And the skiing is fun. The skiing is fun to watch. The other cool one, Jay, is the snowboarding. The snowboarding half pipe, and to watch some of the moves that those, and I'm going to say kids because they're kids, the most of those people that are participating are like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And the stuff that they are doing and that they're pulling off on those half pipes are insane. It's so much fun. But listen, I would, if you're looking for something, I know, kind of February and March can be kind of dry times for sports, because by that time football, we're gonna have the Super Bowl, but nothing else. If you like NBA, if you like NHL, the Olympics is a good change of pace because it gives you a good opportunity to be experiencing something that it's a sport that, oh, Jay, the one that I forgot.
The one that got away.
Curling. Do you remember the last Olympic Games? There was the team from the US looked like they were like, it was like it looks like four dads showed up and we're like, oh, we're on the U.S. Olympic team. We're in the curling match. Like, those guys looked like they were dads that just kind of got on a plane by mistake. Curling is a fun.
It was like the '93 Phillies joining up to go to.
It's exactly what it was like. Oh God, Jay, let's do final thoughts. What do you got for me for final thoughts?
My final thoughts. I'm looking forward to the trade deadline and seeing if Chuck Fletcher actually does something here as far as making some moves and starting to rebuild early. Sorry, that's my final thoughts.
Hey, listen, Jay, my final thoughts on what's going on right now is that make sure that you are checking in on your people. Make sure that you are checking in on people's mental health. Make sure that you are communicating, reaching out, text, phone call, voice message, DM, whatever it is. That's important, especially this time of year. It's cold. People are staying inside more. You want to make sure that you're checking in on your people. So with that, I'm going to end with a book recommendation for those people that might be struggling with mental health. There's a book that I've read that I've used that has been insanely helpful for me. And it's a book actually written by a guy who used to be part of the ownership group for the Sixers, Scott O'Neil. And the book is called Be Where Your Feet Are. And it's some really simple principles about being aware and being able to control your mental health. And I would highly recommend it to anybody who, might be struggling with mental health or knows someone that might be struggling. It's a really easy read. It's a really good, simple thing that you can kind of pick up and put down. So my final thought, mental health is uber important. Check in on your people. Jay?
It's a great final thought.
With that, you know what, Jay? We don't even get to do it. We're not doing a Go Flyers. Fuck the Flyers. They suck.
Okay. They do suck.
Good night, people.